I've always felt that the best two time travel stories were The Time Machine and Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. And basically, Back to the Future follows the same type of time travel rules as The Time Machine, which is that you can travel through time but not through space. And a lot of time travel stories violate that concept. Not only do you travel 100 years in the past, but you also travel from Los Angeles to England miraculously. So we believed in the H.G. Wells Time Machine idea of time travel.
I can't really put my finger on when I stumbled on the idea of time travel, whether it was from watching The Twilight Zone, whether it was from reading Superman comics, or whether it was when the H.G. Wells Time Machine movie, the George Pal movie in 1961 came out. But I do remember being totally fascinated by that film, and it inspired me to read the book. I made my own little miniature time machine out of popsicle sticks. And the whole idea of it was just something that I totally got fascinated by.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? I'm from the future. We've got to get you home.
As I remember, the idea for Back to the Future came about with, and who knows where these ideas really come from, but it was like the notion that Bob Gale had of what it would be like to see your parents as kids when you were the same age as they were.
You're my mom.
My name is Lorraine. Lorraine Baines.
I was back in St. Louis, Missouri, visiting my parents, and searching around in the basement, I stumbled upon my father's high school yearbook. And I'm thumbing through it, and I discovered that my father was the president of his graduating class. I didn't know this, and I thought about the president of my graduating class as somebody I had nothing to do with. So I thought, gee, if I went to high school with my dad, would I have been friends with him? So that was the idea that I came back to Los Angeles, and I said, Bob, what if you could go to high school with your parents? What would that be like?
What are you writing? Stories. Science fiction stories about, visitors coming down to Earth from other planets. Get out of town. I didn't know you did anything creative.
The idea that every adult was once a kid really had never been done before as a movie. This was an idea, an original idea that we'd never seen dealt with before.
The time period that we selected was purely mathematical.
Action!
It was an 80s kid who had to go and find his parents at his same age, so that put us immediately into the 50s. And that was also the time when the birth of the teenager happened anyway, and teenagers in America were given power by the media, power to buy things. They became an economic power. So that worked out well for us.
I'm from the future. I came here in a time machine that you invented.
When we sat down to write the first script and we said, we need a time machine, where does a time machine come from? The time machine has to be invented in somebody's garage. The archetype American inventor that does stuff like this in his garage, it's Doc Brown.
I was standing on the edge of my toilet hanging a clock, the porcelain was wet, I slipped, hit my head on the edge of the sink, and when I came to, I had a revelation, a vision, a picture in my head, a picture of this. This is what makes time travel possible. Flux capacitor.
Where did he come from? We kind of had an idea that he probably worked on the Manhattan Project. In fact, with the nuclear aspect of it, we were pretty sure that that was the case. But he went off on his own, and he had these weird ideas about flux capacitors and so forth.
The very first idea of the time machine was that it was a chamber of some sort. I guess we had it built into an old refrigerator. But it became very apparent that if you were going to really build a time machine, it should be a vehicle. And probably it should be a tracked vehicle, kind of like a tank.